They say you can tell a company's soul by the smell of its server room. Ours reeked of desperation, burnt plastic, and Axe body spray. Thanks to the new hires fresh off LinkedIn boot camps and TikTok resumes, I knew we were doomed. I realized it the moment Aspen rolled in a ring light for her first all-hands meeting and said, "Hi, besties. Let's disrupt some paradigms today." This woman had married the CEO's only son after one hot yoga retreat and became Chief Innovation Officer before she even knew what a DNS record was. She wore white stilettos to the data center, called our mainframe chunky, looked me dead in the eye once, and asked if Java was still relevant. And still I stayed quiet. 12 years of being the failsafe, not by title but by survival. I duct-taped backend systems together with midnight code pushes. When a corrupted dependency almost wiped our vendor history, I was the ghost in the shell who fixed it before anyone noticed. I held keys to systems nobody else even knew existed. Invisible until it was time to fire me. But before the main course, one small favor: hit subscribe and like. 97% of people don't, and it really helps us keep these stories coming. Back to the chaos. That morning, Aspen strutted into the 8:30 a.m. strategic renewal meeting, sipping a green juice that looked like a crime scene. The room fell silent, the kind of silence before someone says something truly dumb. She stood under the fluorescent lights like a pageant contestant trapped in a Jira board. "We're entering a bold new phase," she chirped, eyes scanning us like a substitute teacher. "Legacy infrastructure is holding us back. We need fresh blood, modern tools, and, let's be honest, fewer dinosaurs." The dev row stiffened. I felt it in my spine. She smiled like she'd just solved climate change. Nobody spoke. The silence was heavy, everyone wondering if their KS 4001s were about to explode under influencer-grade arrogance. She clicked through a Canva deck full of buzzwords she couldn't even pronounce. "We'll be sunsetting outdated systems and replacing them with scalable, modular frameworks," she said, tapping a screenshot from someone's GitHub README. "I want you all to feel empowered to challenge norms." Translation: you're all replaceable. I watched her lips move while thinking about the DNS failover I'd rerouted last week because her pet migration team forgot to map the secondary. Thought about undocumented database hooks I'd written in 2017, still keeping our logistics dashboard alive. Thought about the NDA she'd signed without reading, explicitly stating my scripts were mine alone. I said nothing. Fake laugh. Dismissive wave. "Let's get to work, fam." The future waits for no one except it did. Aspen waited with claws. 2 days later, the calendar pinged. Subject line: Quick Sync HR. No agenda. No context. Corporate guillotine. I'd seen it before. Vague invites, stiff smiles, HR escorting seasoned employees out like criminals. Never in the morning. Always at 4:30 p.m., after Slack updates and fake empathy during Diversity Week. I walked in. Aspen perched on the edge of the HR manager's desk, posing like a Fast Company cover girl, nepotism edition. Synthetic vanilla perfume thick in the fluorescent lights. "So glad you could make it," she said, crossing her legs like she'd just learned it from a YouTube tutorial. "This won't take long." Greg from HR looked like he was auditioning for spineless henchman number 3. He slid a branded folder toward me like it might bite. "As part of our Clean Slate initiative," Aspen began, voice dripping with smug corporate tripe, "we're restructuring certain legacy roles to better align with our future-focused vision." Translation: you're old. You make me look bad. And you know I'm a fraud. I didn't blink. I just listened. "We really appreciate your years of dedication," she added, pausing as if she couldn't remember what I actually did. "We're moving in a new direction, more agile, more collaborative, more youthful." There it was. The youth dagger. Tossed like confetti. Pastel blazer probably bought from an Instagram ad for boss babes. Greg slid the severance package forward. Standard payout, outplacement support, 3 months of Cobra if I enrolled by Friday. I glanced at it, scanned the legalese. Forgot I used to audit our own contracts. Aspen leaned in, smiling like a teenager who pulled the fire alarm for attention. "Any questions?" "No," I said, folding the paper neatly. "Just one thing." She tilted her head, ready for my weak protest. 15 minutes, I said. She blinked. I'm sorry, I stood, sliding my badge onto the desk like a grenade with the pin pulled. 50 minutes until the patchwork falls apart. Until the tools you never understood start screaming. Until the logs go dark, queues overflow, and invoices stop processing. Her face twitched. I leaned closer, voice calm. This isn't revenge, Aspen. I'm just done fixing what you were too proud to admit you broke. Then I walked out. Quiet footsteps. No shouting. No cursing. 1,000 silent fail-safes ticking down. I didn't go home. Walked 2 blocks to Café Wood. Black coffee. Cranberry scone I didn't eat. Sat in the corner, staring at the building. 15th floor. Old domain lit up as if nothing had changed. Under their desks, a loaded gun. I just quietly removed the safety. First sip of coffee burned my tongue. Good. I needed to feel something besides the low hum of panic vibrating under my ribs. Phone face down. No calls. No last minute, let's talk this through. Silence. Ash at the back of my throat. I considered leaving a trail, anonymous email, a note to back-end crew, a warning about every ignored report and every shortcut Aspen called efficient. Could have burned them publicly. Could have taken the severance soul intact. Instead, I walked. Stared at the glass and concrete ego cube. Guilt crept sideways. Maybe I'd lit a fire and walked away, not checking who was still inside. Hand drifted to my bag. Tablet out. Old instincts. Type a fallback guide, log a remote override, ping Darren in procurement, who remembered my birthday and once cried after deleting a root folder by accident. Opened a blank email. Typed, if you're reading this, the system has likely. Backspaced. Closed draft. No, they chose this. Aspen chose flashy over functional. Buzzwords over backups. CEO handed her the keys like Moses descending Mount Malibu with marketing tablets. They didn't ask how the system stayed afloat. Didn't care it was me running Silent Crown jobs at 3 a.m., catching billing errors. Didn't care about last September's ransomware attempt I quarantined before legal saw a thing. Didn't care that the execs had quietly leaned on me to fix what they broke. And Aspen? She didn't read her NDA. One clause explicitly gave me ownership over the auto-patching scripts, keeping the company alive for 5 fiscal quarters. They wanted invisible. They got it. I watched the janitor wheel his mop cart across the lobby. The same man who used to call me Miss Claire and slip double chocolate Milanos next to my monitor during the holidays. I almost raised my hand. Instead, I took another slow sip of coffee, still hot, still sharp, still exactly like my mood. It began with a single bounce. Then another. Then 47. Dashboards started vanishing. First logistics, then procurement. API calls came back 500s like bad party favors. The ticketing system locked everyone out simultaneously, and the autoresponder chirped its cheerful lie. Asterisk your session has expired. Please contact your system administrator. Asterisk the same administrator they'd just let go. From my usual corner booth in Café Wood, I refreshed the company news feed. A vendor post appeared on LinkedIn. Asterisk due to a technical issue at Redacted, all fulfillment operations are paused. We are investigating with urgency. Asterisk underneath, someone had commented, didn't Claire used to run that, sweetheart? Up on the 15th floor, Aspen was doing her finest headless chicken impression. Her beloved cloud migration had hit the iceberg. Turns out dumping your entire vendor stack onto a platform you don't understand, without verifying credentials or compliance, was less visionary leadership and more negligent endangerment. I pictured her swiping frantically at her iPad, trying to bully the graphs back to green. I pictured the TikTok-certified go-getter she'd hired last month, now sweating through his hoodie while Slack lit up like a dying EKG. My phone vibrated. Marcy in finance. Hey, weird question. Did you maybe archive the Q4 reconciliation tool somewhere? Darren. Asterisk Claire, are you seeing this? Nothing's loading. Aspen's losing it. Asterisk then Anna, the CEO's assistant, the same woman who once brought me soup when I was sick in Q2 2018. Asterisk Claire, I know you're gone. I respect that. But please, where are the vendor logs? Asterisk I stared at the screen, thumb hovering. The urge to reply crackled like static. I let it pass. Instead, I opened the internal status page. Green checks were bleeding into furious red and mournful yellow. A new banner sat at the top, probably written by some terrified intern named Bryce. Asterisk, we are currently experiencing a temporary disruption in service across multiple systems. Please bear with us as we resolve the issue. Thank you for your patience. Asterisk patience. Cute. I opened the old infrastructure team group chat. Most of them had already escaped months earlier. Alex, ex-DevOps, told you it would unravel without her. Mira, ex-SECOps, anyone want to bet on when Aspen gets reassigned to new opportunities? Carlos, ex-backend lead asterisk Friday. Tops, asterisk, then a new name appeared. Aspen. She'd found the chat. Aspen, asterisk, hey everyone. Can we please keep things positive? We're all doing our best here. Sparkles hashtag solutions not blame asterisk. I nearly laughed out loud in the cafe. I leaned back, one hand around my cooling coffee, the other holding my phone, and watched the empire I'd once held together with late-night bash scripts and sheer stubbornness begin to fracture like dropped glass. 11 minutes. That's all it took. The breach alert hit the CEO's smartwatch in the middle of a PowerPoint slide titled 2025, Scaling Trust. 3 rapid vibrations, emergency protocol reserved for catastrophic failure or active attack. He excused himself with a smile that twitched like faulty wiring, tie already loosening, and hurried toward the elevator. By the time he reached the server room, Eagle had flagged the incident to Risk, Risk had flagged it to Audit, and Audit was already quietly searching logs for familiar names. One name kept surfacing in recent deletion records, Claire Forrester. The irony was almost tender. 3 days earlier, 72 hours before Aspen Circus reached its climax, I revoked my own administrative scripts. The quiet, after-hours ones I'd written to keep orphan processes from choking the network, to sanitize inputs against injection, to patch broken handoffs between the legacy ERP and the shiny new marketing dashboard. I never bragged. I never had to. But I'd made damn sure I retained ownership. Aspen had signed the clause herself, too busy rehearsing her promotion TikTok to actually read it. Now those scripts were gone. Not deleted. Just no longer theirs. At 10:46 a.m., the main supply chain node failed. 10 seconds later, SSO logins for 4 major clients refused authentication. The sandbox billing environment began executing live transactions. The internal VPN choked, auto-locking 27 remote employees. And in the center of it all stood Aspen, clipboard in hand for reasons no one could explain, surrounded by blinking lights and a stunned outsourcing team charging $400 an hour to reboot routers and Google error codes. Why isn't the rollback script working? She snapped. A junior dev with bleached hair and the 1,000-yard stare of someone who'd just watched his life savings evaporate muttered, Claire used to handle this. Aspen flinched. Well, Claire's not here, is she? Silence. Then the doors opened. The CEO walked in looking like someone had just told him his yacht sank for the insurance money. Aspen, he barked. What the hell is going on? She flashed the smile she used for investor decks. Just a little turbulence while we pivot to our cloud-first solution. We've got everything under control. Clients are screaming breach. Audit is screaming. Legal says we have a licensing issue with the transaction middleware. She cut in. Claire must have changed something on her way out. It's not my fault. He stared. Claire left 3 days ago. I know, she said, voice cracking. But her systems, she made herself too essential. She was essential, he snapped. You just didn't notice because you were too busy rebranding Slack channels. The server fans seemed to slow, savoring the moment. One of the techs cleared his throat. She didn't change anything, sir. We checked. The systems just stopped compensating. What does that mean? It means she was patching things manually. Quietly. She didn't sabotage us. She just stopped saving us. The CEO's face went gray. Aspen looked like she was shrinking inside her blazer. Somewhere in a cafe with mismatched chairs and lo-fi jazz crackling through the speakers, I opened my laptop. Inbox, 183 unread. Urgent system inquiry, possible litigation. Can we talk? One-starred message from a name I hadn't seen in months. Subject: asterisk coffee sometime. Could really use your eyes on this. Asterisk, I didn't smile. I ordered another scone. The lawyers arrived first, those tailored, caffeinated vampires who smell blood in the fiber optics. In 4 hours they uncovered expired API keys, third-party licensing violations, and a 3-week-old Slack message from Aspen. Asterisk Claire's being paranoid. Nobody cares about old contracts. Just delete the docs. Asterisk they also found the deleted compliance folder, thanks to the quiet backups I'd set up 2 years earlier, back when Aspen first started treating documentation like an optional personality trait. The main invoicing vendor's contract had lapsed in March. I'd flagged it twice. Aspen called it vendor noise. Now that same vendor had locked us out and was charging double for emergency reinstatement. Legal called it extortion. I called it predictable. The oldest client, a mid-sized logistics firm whose entire operation had been grafted onto ours, halted at 11:07 a.m. By 1:42 p.m., they sent a letter of intent to sue for breach of SLA and damages. The PR team issued a panicked scheduled maintenance advisory across social channels. Unfortunately, someone forgot to disable the auto-reply in Twitter DMs. The bots cheerfully responded to furious clients. Asterisk thanks for your feedback. Our team is disrupting inefficiency and reimagining scalability. Sparkle's rocket asterisk that one went viral on LinkedIn. By 4 p.m., Aspen was haunting her own office. No more pastel blazers. No more sparkle emojis. Just a woman hunched over a MacBook she barely knew how to use, flipping between red error dashboards like a fortune teller reading doom. Then the messages started. Text: Hey, hope you're well, smiling face with smiling eyes, quick cue. Do you know if there's a backup to the vendor hooks? Email, asterisk hi. Things ended weirdly, but would love to pick your brain on some legacy infra stuff. No pressure. Just when you have time. Best, Aspen, asterisk Slack ping. LinkedIn DM. Even a Venmo transfer, $5, memo, P-less answer. I screenshotted that one. The CEO cornered her in the hallway demanding a restoration timeline. She looked like she hadn't slept since discovering dark mode existed. I heard she tried to throw the outsource team under the bus. They threw her straight back. Being underestimated has its advantages. People forget how many receipts you keep. Every flagged report. Every ignored warning. Every "okay boomer" scribbled on my internal review. All archived, encrypted, timestamped. Part of me wanted to twist the knife immediately. Leak the Slack messages. Tag her in every crash report. Print her delete the docs line on t-shirts and mail them to legal. But I waited. Vengeance is better when they beg. When they finally understand exactly who they dismissed. By morning my inbox looked like a crime scene. Can we talk? I had no idea what she was doing to you. Claire, I'm sorry. Urgent, please respond. Even the CEO's chief of staff, Linda, the woman who once sent me a passive-aggressive Christmas card about emotional intelligence in technical roles, sent a 9-paragraph email that included the phrase in hindsight, your contributions were more foundational than we realized. No, Linda. I didn't reply to any of them. Then a new email arrived. Priority flagged. Confidential. Sender, Aspen. Apprentice subject, video call. One last ask, the body was brief. Asterisk, please. Just 10 minutes. I'll say nothing you don't want to hear. I just need to ask. I won't record. Asterisk, I snorted. I clicked record before I even accepted the invite. When the camera came on, Aspen looked human, raw, sleep-deprived, mascara-smudged human. Hair in a sad ponytail. Oversized hoodie with peeling glitter letters. Hashtag boss energy. Claire, she started, voice small. Thank you for taking the call. I said nothing. Just tilted my head, waiting. I know I was condescending. I didn't respect what you did. I didn't understand what you did. But I've learned the hard way. I'm asking, please, can you help me fix this? She gestured vaguely toward her screen, probably a graveyard of red alerts. I'll pay you. Personally. I need to make this right. If the board sees effort, I raised one finger. She stopped. I leaned in, voice calm as tempered glass. You bet on appearance over competence. That's not my fire to put out. She blinked. But Claire, they're saying I might be suspended. You already are, I said. They just haven't told you yet. Silence. She deflated like a slow leak. I ended the call. Less than 10 minutes later, the internal HR feed updated. Aspen apprentice placed on administrative leave pending review of recent infrastructure collapse and compliance violations. The board wasn't circling anymore. They were feeding. Questions were being raised about the CEO's judgment, about nepotism, about why Claire Forrester's name had disappeared from the org chart a week before the company's entire backend decided to play Russian roulette. And me? I sat in my bathrobe, hair in a messy knot, sipping a mug of not my problem, brewed from earned anger, unpaid overtime, and the quiet certainty of someone who finally knows her worth after years of being treated like furniture. Revenge? No. Precision. And I hadn't even broken a sweat. The offer arrived quietly. No recruiter fanfare, no LinkedIn fireworks, just a sleek envelope hand-delivered to my door with a simple note. Claire, we've always known what you're capable of. Ready when you are. Stratum Systems, I laughed out loud. Stratum had been circling me for years. Polite coffees. Just checking in emails. I'd always stayed loyal. I'd fixed what wasn't mine to fix. I'd held a company together that treated me like a utility closet with legs. This time I said yes. Consulting contract. 6-month retainer. Twice the money. Half the stress. No dress code. And respect built into the onboarding process. They didn't ask me to prove myself. They asked how fast I could start and whether I wanted Mac or Linux. I took the Linux box. My first call wasn't a status update. It was a strategy session. When I explained how to optimize their distributed load systems, someone actually listened, took notes, asked thoughtful questions. The CTO thanked me twice. Week 3, I walked past the old building. Windows dark. A for lease sign taped crookedly to the inside of the glass like a breakup note written on the back of a CVS receipt. It didn't hurt. It didn't feel like victory. It simply was. The place had never belonged to me. I was its spine. They only noticed when the disc slipped. The silence now, that was the real satisfaction. No fireworks. No parade. Just the soft click of my boots on the sidewalk and the clean air of after. Back home, my calendar felt like freedom. I worked from the sunroom in holy socks. I brewed coffee that didn't taste like regret. I answered only to people who respected the work. And no one ever said, disrupt legacy models, with a straight face. They say revenge is best served cold. I say peace is best served earned, preferably with biscotti. I didn't just walk away from the fire. I built something better from the embers. Aspen's farewell post arrived in lavender Canva gradient and practice sincerity. After much reflection, I've decided to take a break to focus on my wellness journey and reconnect with my purpose. Grateful for the growth, the lessons, and the incredible people who supported me through this transformative chapter. See you all soon. Sparkles #healing #new beginnings * the comments were a slow-motion train wreck. So brave to spin getting fired into a wellness retreat. Did your purpose delete the vendor logs too? You disrupted legacy systems all right. Still haven't recovered. Wellness tip, try listening to your engineers next time. She tried to limit replies. It didn't work. Someone started a parody account at Aspen from IT. If you don't understand the problem, it's probably not real Sparkles manifest uptime. I didn't engage. I didn't share. I didn't need to. Because another envelope had already arrived, law firm logo, thick cream paper. Subpoena. Claire Forrester is hereby requested to provide technical testimony in the matter of shareholders versus Eldridge Corporation. I read it twice. It wasn't against me. It was with me. They wanted receipts. Timelines. Ignored warnings. Deleted reports. They wanted someone who could explain in plain English how one woman held up an empire while its leadership replaced competence with Canva. I didn't smile. I didn't rage. I just felt that deep, clean satisfaction that comes when you finally say every truth you ever swallowed, and the room goes quiet. I closed the folder. Then I opened my email. One unread message. Sender, CEO@eldridgecorp.com. Subject, we need to talk. I hovered. Paused. Click delete. No drama. No forwarding to the press. Just gone. The way things rot when they're left too long in the sun. Then I opened my browser and booked a weekend in Napa. No laptop. No charger. Just paperbacks, vineyards, and silence no one could interrupt with Slack. Power doesn't always come with noise. Sometimes it's the quiet after the collapse. And I planned to savor every second. What struck me most was how calm Claire remained. No theatrics, no threats, just cold, precise strategy. A reminder that sometimes the strongest move isn't shouting. It's walking away and letting the truth scream for you. You're the real ones in the corporate jungle. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, or I'll flick the switch on your old cubicle memories.